Peggy Kaczynski, our friend, drops the tweet yesterday at 5:22.
Yes.
Hashtag Chicago Bears GM polls to at ESPN pregame. Lack of quick starts. Quote, some of it stems back to training camp. ... Things not addressed. ... So we have different responsibilities. This is obviously the other station. But
it's the Bears Radio Network.
This is something that affected us all. Because hold on.
Yeah.
We have seen some reshuffling of information. We've seen some bucks being passed, if you will.
Can you read that to me again, please?
Some of it stems back to training camp. The lack of quick starts. Oh, you mean how you didn't have the first 15 plays scripted, or how you, again, have problems with having time to prepare for your next opponent because you seem to have a process that indeed does not work? Some of it stems back to training camp, quote, things not addressed. This obviously set off Olin and Pat Manley last night. That's something that we can get to later if we have time. But I definitely want to get your reaction to this, because my goodness, that is a
I don't understand
an avoidance.
I honestly I don't know.
It's like ghosting yourself or something.
I think I need to hear the whole thing, because I did not hear it, so I'm totally depending on this tweet, and that tweet was kind of getting around the press box last night as well. But is that it? I'm trying to figure out is there a follow-up to that? Because it goes back to training camp. What happened? Is he talking about that in general terms? They just didn't, the coaching staff just didn't do a good job in training camp of getting them ready? What was neglected? What specifically happened in training camp? So I don't know. I can't really form an opinion when I don't know what exactly happened.
Would you say some samples were possibly switched?
No, I think the samples were avoided, apparently.
Here's my issue with this. What's really up my craw.
Yeah.
They told us almost illegally that they had started to install the offense with Caleb Williams before the draft.
Wow, what a great point.
They're like, oh, yeah, we've been working on this since March.
Yeah.
Wink. Oh, yeah, was it really March, or was it December of last year, because he told us all about how he hadn't played a game since November?
Yeah, the combine meeting was an actual practice.
Pretty much, right? The way they described it. And they're like, oh, we were kind of talking to him about some things.
Yes.
While you were still with your other quarterback? Did I go into a dating reference there, perhaps?
Maybe.
But, point being, so now you're saying things weren't addressed in training camp? So either you did nothing to stop it until you decided to fire your head coach or your offensive coordinator or something.
Yeah.
Or you chose not to stop it.
Right.
Or you just sat there and let it happen while Hard Knocks is hanging out. And, Adrian Colbert's got his cool bowls that make, relaxing noises. While all this is going on, DJ Moore's going to the Museum of Ice Cream. You mean to tell me that nowhere in there were you like, this process that we defend so much is awry, and maybe this would affect our starts in games? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
that's the part you can control.
Yeah, that's great. Unless because again, I don't have enough information at this point, but unless he learned this recently, I don't know if maybe Ryan Poles is collecting intel that he didn't have during training camp. But yeah, you're right.
No, that's his job to know it real time.
You're right.
It's actually his job to know.
Yeah.
And this is what also bothers me, is the whole acceptance of so many Bears fans being like, well, Eberflus really wasn't his hire. It's his responsibility. He is his responsibility. He accepted that. He accepted what he agreed to. This is part of his job.
Yeah, he made a bad decision.
You can only obfuscate so much when you're still in the office.
Yeah. And as far as I know, he knows that. And
I think he does. I have liked Ryan Poles' approach on things. Yeah, this is fishy.
Well, read it one more time. Just read the text straight through.
Okay, and Peggy deserves to be quoted directly here. We don't want to take people out of context.
Absolutely.
Hashtag Chicago Bears GM polls to at ESPN 1000 pregame. Lack of quick starts. Quote, some of it stems back to training camp, ... Things not addressed, ... End quote.
Yeah, this is not enough.
It's gotten 1 million views.
Things not addressed. So I don't know. I'll go back. I'll try to find it.
You were the person who could address them.
Yes.
Also, why could they only be addressed in training camp? Do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs, who largely messed around and got first place in the AFC East by their standards, are like, yeah, if we had only done some other things in training camp, maybe we could have a higher scoring per game. No, they're adjust every week and do different things.
What did Olin Pat say? Just paraphrase. I know it was like a long
I think
thing.
we have time.
Do we have time?
Let's play our back and forth.
Okay. I'm curious. 3, 2, 1.
On the score?
Bears.
I put Ray on the spot.
Ray.
You know what people would call that?
Spot.
Delirious.
Yeah.
Okay, we have it now. Here we go.
I go back to what Ryan Poles said in the pregame show. It just said when someone asked him what is going on with the offense, why can't they score early in games, which we saw again tonight, right? An offense struggled to score the whole game. And he said, well, that's happened with some of the installation we had in camp. And again, it's like, okay, man, like at some point, like we have to move. You fired the guy weeks ago, right? Told us this was the answer. Told us it was going to improve. It's just a young quarterback right now. Nothing they say can be correct, right? You stand up on that podium after 10 losses at a press conference, and what the hell do you say, man? I mean, even like, to Pat's point, you do want to hear guys say, well, that was my fault. I take the blame for that. But even that gets old, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you're losing, you just have to go out there, and they're trying to find ways, and I know they are. They're trying to find ways to win. It's just we're all frustrated, man, watching this team flounder around. It's really what they're doing, guys. It's really crazy to watch them do it over and over and over again through this stretch where they can't figure out game management, time management. I always tell people, I will tell people this all the time. Go to their website. Go to staff. Look how many people they have in analytics. Look how many people they have on their coaching staff. Look how many people they have in that building who are making money. And then ask yourself, how are these mistakes made at the end of these games?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And Olin, when you brought up the Ryan Poles saying this was something from training camp, I laughed this morning. I was like, how can that be? If you knew that was the problem in training camp, or you figured it out maybe at the start of the season, why have you not fixed it during the season? And even if that is you saying, okay, we need to get rid of Shane Waldron, figure out a way to fix it. You're the general manager. You're the football guy. You're in charge of operations. You're in charge of all the coaches. How can you let this leak all the way into week 17 in the NFL and say it started back in training camp? That's mismanagement.
The crazy thing is, he doesn't even realize that's an indictment on him.
Yes.
Because if you're watching it in training camp, if you're watching them install it wrong, if you're watching him do it wrong, that's you. You're the boss.
Yes.
So why didn't you correct it then? Why didn't you put an end to it then?
I'm with you.
That was the part I didn't
just shook my head. Yeah. I'm like, Ryan, you're calling yourself out. You're calling yourself out. Yep.
It just didn't make sense because either you're saying you can't fix it and you were just going to watch this snowball, or you're saying that you didn't want to fix it and that would be malpractice, or you're describing that you don't have the power in your job, or that's your fault. That the options here are not good. That was when I read that, I'm just going, how is this possible? Like, how are you going to say that? And then we've asked this whole season, guys, what is the time worth? What is every week worth when you see this losing streak continue? How much does it matter to your rookie quarterback's development? And you want to say you saw this in training camp?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is his team. They said he's in charge of football operations, right? This is his team. This is his building. The coach is in charge of the team. Okay, your head coach and all that, but you are in charge of that head coach and what goes on with that staff. You're the one that hired all those guys. You're the one that sat in and said you collaborated with Eberflus and you're bringing in Shane Waldron. And to me, when he's talking about it went back to training camp, I'm reading it that he's calling out Shane Waldron. Well, you should have fixed that. You should have been on top of that with Matt Eberflus and or Shane and had him sit down and say, what's going on here? Here's what I see is wrong. Fix it. And don't come out here in week 17 and tell me this all started in training camp. I was confused when I read that. I just like, Ryan, you are telling on yourself here, man.
I'm still confused. Like that was great.
Like Nate Davis, for example, you see these problems in training camp and you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do. Right. What are you talking about? There's a lot of things you can do.
So is that what he's talking about? Is it Nate Davis? Like You guys are making great points about Poles should have stopped this. I still want to know what he's talking about. I still don't know what the specifics are of what he is talking about. Now, anybody could say, "Oh, we weren't ready in training camp. Like we weren't organized." And like what? It sounds like there was
saw
like
this happen in training
what
camp.
gaping hole was there that has led to a 10-game losing streak. So it had to be something significant in training camp.
Ryan Poles, if you're hosting Bears pre and post game on the Score, awesome. Awesome. You were on top of it in training camp. Points to you. You're the general manager of the team.
Yeah, I didn't see that on Hard Knocks, by the way. Didn't seem like there was issues. It was just Matt Eberflus sitting down with Caleb Williams one-on-one. You see that? Yeah. Yeah, you see that? See that guy right there? Yeah.
Let me describe every play to you in a vacuum because none of them are connected.
I get mad thinking about that because in the moment, what I took away from Hard Knocks was they're going out of their way, the irony, going out of their way to show that Matt Eberflus is a coach and he can coach offense. And he's sitting in an office in every episode. In some place, he's sitting with Caleb and they're going through stuff one-on-one. And I know that they forced that. I don't know for a fact, but it sure felt like they forced that issue right there, that it was like they wanted to show this is a competent coach. Oh, the irony that he becomes the first head coach in Bears history to get fired in season. They were trying to put themes to this team for the public during Hard Knocks, and it was all a bunch of BS.
And then people are like, well, I told you not to do Hard Knocks. Stop it. A capable franchise should be able to have Hard Knocks,
Hard Knocks didn't hurt them.
And compete in the same year.
Are you kidding me?
Unless you're the Giants, who told you that a running back definitely does matter.
Yeah.
They could use Saquon Barkley right now, couldn't they?
Yes. Hey, every once in a while, running backs still matter in the NFL. Every once in a while.
Would you look at that? Mm-hmm. A bad decision led to more bad outcomes.
It happened.
Yeah, people take people for granted all the time, man. But yeah, that's one we're gonna have to examine.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
You can't meatball that.
No.
Like, you can't be us and say we saw it coming in training camp.
Right. I'm going to go see if I can find it and see, like, what he was specifically talking about.
I really just think it's the obfuscation of responsibility. I really think that it's
you think Poles
don't blame me. I didn't hire Eberflus. Come on.
You think Poles is saying that? I don't think Poles is saying that.
What are you talking about? In every dysfunctional organization, you know exactly the moment where it starts to be every man for himself.
Yeah, I don't think Poles has reached that point yet.
I'm not even saying it might be purposeful.
I think he'll take the blame. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
think
like Ryan Poles.
Yeah, I know you do, but you're trying to say that he's not responsible, that he's not going to take blame. He's not going to
steps where you start to be like, well, you can make a decision as a business, or you could blame the consultant. But you hired the consultant.
Well, yeah,
you hired the consultant.
Oh, I don't think but I don't know who you're making the argument to, because I don't think we've gotten, like, it's not like Ryan Poles has deflected.
I think that is a bit of deflecting, though, because when you're saying that, you can blame the head coach. Then you can blame the previous head coach.
But he did he? Did he mention Matt Eberflus?
But you can imply it.
I guess.
When you say, oh, yeah, some of this stuff was going back to training camp.
But to your point.
Blame the previous coaching
staff. But he was out there. He was out in training camp every day. I saw him every single day in training camp. So to your point, and to Olin and Pat's, he's indicting himself because he's out there. He's part of it. So there must be something that was going on that we don't know. I guess.
Learning on the job.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun?
Yes. Oh, Bears.